Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, July 11th. Insomnia caused me to start a little bit late, so we're still not really where I need to be. I need to get at least this daily quest done. If I get this one done, that was a shame, but it'll be fine. If I do, so we're just going to play Warrior and then we're going to move over to the European account. Got a lot of news. I want to just try and burn through it too. Since I started late, since I'm suffering from insomnia and oversleeping / undersleeping, I may also be sick, and that might be part of the problem. Just I've noticed as I've started to expand my understanding of slight sicknesses that you probably wouldn't notice if you're young and energetic and running around. Now in my slightly older age, I get little sniffles and things like that I can recognize as like, oh yeah, I'm not at 100%. I'm only at 80% of what I could usually am at. Anyways, Your Gamer has an article. Minecraft's second phase of the update Aquatic is here. The world is your oyster. I imagine this is the phase 2 is for the Win 10 version VR and mobile devices, so it's not the Java version, which I imagine has all of this stuff. I was giving some thought to Minecraft if I was to go back and do play some more Minecraft. I probably would have to rebuild a whole new world again. Like, no real problem with that. I think inherently that's what I should do every time I get in play Minecraft, is just build a new world and look at the new aspects. And I honestly don't know if there's enough that's been updated to make it feel like it's a brand new game that would really make me want to play it for the long haul. It's also very arguable that Minecraft's streaming on YouTube has long since been dead, so covering it would really just be an indulgence on myself. Moving on, we have a game called TAL Arctic. It's a single screen Unity game, very low effort game. Like, I haven't seen a game that looked this bad. It's just shades of gray for most of the color palette. I haven't seen a game that looks this bad in a while. Yeah. Let's see, this developer has been making low effort Just Question series, the JQ series. And then apparently it made a DLC for some anime game, but not the anime game itself. Like, and of course the anime girls always catch my attention because they're bright and colorful. Use the Lime Anime Runner, a mostly negative reviewed game that came out June 22nd. Let's just play this. Let's see. Mostly negative with 16 user reviews. And it's like an infinite runner. So somebody made DLC. So yeah, extremely low effort game developer there. PC Gamer has a article. I don't even know if this really was much of an article to write. Frankly, it's kind of like the popular streamer Shroud apparently was seen by this hacker, or targeted by this hacker, because Shroud ran into him like 3 times, and on the 3rd time he's just like, you know what, let's just have some fun and run around with this guy and kind of interview him. And so he started playing playing with this hacker. Now, arguably, what he was doing was promoting hacking in PUBG, and for that he got a 30-day ban on Twitch. And I kind of get it. Like, I like the idea of Twitch having some gaming morals and saying, look, we're not going to let cheaters on our platform benefit on our platform. You get into weird arguments, certainly, about what constitutes cheating and such, but let's do this. What's the dumbest thing we could think to do? That. Wind Fury. +3 attack. End of the turn. So the thing that I'd ask here is, Twitch probably hands out bans every day of the week. At what point do we really, is it newsworthy? Like, is it newsworthy because a streamer has a certain number of fans? Is it newsworthy because it's just Twitch? Like, I don't know where the level is there. Like, at a certain point, since this has happened so many times, I think PC Gamer falls into the danger of just writing political arguments because they hate Twitch. And why would they hate Twitch? I don't really know. I don't even think it's PC Gamer who hates Twitch. If I was to guess, I think PC Gamer hates video game players, actual gamers, and wants only the people that they lift up as famous. So they kind of hate famous people. Or it could just be PC Gamer who loves drama, and that's why they're talking about these. So far, so good in my opinion. Like, I haven't yet seen Twitch ban somebody completely unfairly. I've seen them ban games unfairly, but I haven't seen them ban people unfairly. But I haven't paid a lot of attention to it either. So I'm not hating Twitch because of this. If I'm gonna hate Twitch, I'm gonna hate it because it's owned by Jeff Bezos and Amazon, who's underpaying his employees. That's a much better reason to hate it, in my opinion. We've got a game on Steam called SIG, S-I-G. It says it's a puzzle game. Looks to me like it's a non-numbered version of 2048, or no, I guess it would be better described as just a sliding puzzle game where you have to move all the pieces in the same direction at once, and so you have to use barriers to move the pieces out of the way so that you can so you can move boxes out of beams of light. So it's a little laser connecting puzzle. Let's see, how much is SIG? SIG is 20% off of 79 cents. At that price, it doesn't look awful, but it doesn't look great either. It has 100 Steam achievements and there's only 40 levels, so yeah, it's more of an achievement game than it really should be, so that kills it. We've gotten into such a weird world nowadays where having 100 achievements actually tells me your game isn't good, since that's the new maximum you can have for most publishers and developers. So yeah, achievements have become this liability. Right, so I just played that. That was the last card I needed to play. I could just concede now. Next game we have is called WABA. W-A-B-A. It's It's the wobbliest, cutest virtualist VR pet. So it's a VR pet, which actually that's a rather good idea. Like,
I can't play that.
Like, yeah, that's a rather good idea to have like a virtual pet in VR. Although I don't know why you're giving me a animated like ball of goo as a VR pet instead of just a dog or a cat or a horse or something. That would be a lot better. This game requires VR. It's $4.99 with no discount. Even if I did have VR, I'd be kind of hard pressed to play the game as it looks right now. It feels like, had they just done dog, cat, something recognizable, something more relatable, that would have been really cool. I could think of a lot of people with PTSD or that live in apartments and would love to have a pet but can't, that might spend $600 on a VR headset just to have a pet. Yep, with those slow delays, I figured that might happen. So we're done here. In the way that Hearthstone announced the new expansion, we'll save this for Friday, or I'll re-roll it tomorrow or Friday. They made a mostly live-action, corny video on the Blizzard's YouTube channel, which, as far as I know, that's never been the way that they've done things before. So they're definitely doing things differently. And
spend an evening by the
I would. They continued the first video that was mostly live action to a animated cartoon thing, and I'm surprised that they feel like they can afford to have animated even 5-minute sequences. So here's a challenge a friend. I can't even do this unless somebody hops on to the European account. And nobody's on, so I've got to do a tavern brawl regardless, and I guess maybe I'll play mage class cards, or I may have to do a challenge a friend afterwards. I felt like the live action video, because I was introducing people that actually worked at Activision Blizzard to make the Hearthstone game instead of actors, is just a lot of weird people that shouldn't be on TV. They introduced a few cards. They introduced legendary spells, Omega devices that get super huge bonuses if you have 10 mana crystals. The concept of magnetic cards that are basically like fusion summoners or games in Yu-Gi-Oh! If I understand how those work, which I probably don't. So you can take a magnetic type card and place it on top of a mechanical a mech card. They're going to come out with a lot more mechs, so they finally decided to stop ignoring the mech set, which is cool. So they've kind of hit now a circular point where Goblins vs. Gnomes, which had the most amount of mechs, is in Wild, and now they're coming out with more mechs. So, and that was like 4 years ago, it seems, maybe 3. So every 3 or 4 years, they're probably just going to go in circles.
Job's done.
Both banning old cards and putting them in Wild and making new cards to replace them. But I'm glad they're bringing back mechs. Yeah, and so like magnetic items are minions that their attack and health would just be added to somebody else's, to another mech's attack and health, plus their abilities. So some interesting concepts, not amazingly crazy concepts, but interesting nonetheless.
Hey dudes, over here!
Let's see. Let's take this.
Job's done.
PC Gamer has an article. Telltale has a build your own humble bundle. Buy more and save more. Maybe that's a better deal. It's like 85% off if you buy 5 games, 75% off if you buy 3 games. But that's applying to the full price of the game. Whereas if you got the Telltale bundle on Steam during a summer sale like I did, you'd probably be in a lot better position and save a lot more money.
That's not a valid target.
Hit it very hard.
And this is an article more that points out the fact that the Humble Bundle store has just not got any good sales lately.
So many viewers.
They're trying to push everybody to Fanatical, but I don't think they're succeeding at that. I think they're only succeeding at pushing people away from the Humble store. Let's see. We got a game on Steam. It says it's a casual adventure indie match 3 game in fantasy called The Enthralling Realms. Looks pretty good for a match 3 game. I'm not hugely opposed to the idea of playing a match 3 game, particularly if it's well done. I guess the question is, how much time would it take? How well is it reviewed? And how many levels are there? Is there an infinite generator there? Because that's probably it. This one is 30% off for $2.09, and it has 74 levels with some RPG village upgrade elements. So do I want to play that game or not? This developer also made something called the Chronicles of Noah's Ark, which is a match 3 game that looks exactly like the previous, the Enthralling Realms, and they made a game called Crime Stories Days of Vengeance that came out in August of 2018.
What to do?
Or it's coming out in August of 2018. So, and it's also a match 3 game. Sorry, I really can't give a benefit of a doubt to people who are going to flood Steam with the exact same
Here there is no light.
Time runs out on me.
So yes, I cannot suggest Enthralling Realms. Let's look at what they would recommend otherwise. Let's see, there's one called Darkest Hunters that Steam is suggesting as a match 3 type game. And then it wants me to play several other games that are not match 3 games. 10 Million is a matching game. Like, half of these recommendations to me are games that I specifically played. I feel like some of these games are literally just getting recommended back to me because I was the only person that played them. Yeah, Darkest Hunters is mixed reviews, and it came out on September 27th. And that's the best game according to Steam that's a match 3 game. excluding 10 million, which I think I probably did right by playing 10 million. And You Must Build a Boat, which was the sequel to 10 million. Let's do this.
Hit it very hard.
PC Gamer talks about Hearthstone's next expansion. There's really not too much to mention here. Just some specific cards that they've announced so far. They have a 5-mana legendary spell that draws the rest of your deck. 3-mana minion that has a battle cry. Your next spell this turn casts twice, which is certainly there are some spells out there that if it was cast twice would be pretty crazy. 4-mana Omega Defender that gains plus 10 attack if you have 10 mana crystals. The Spider Bomb, which is a 3-mana 2 attack 2 health mech that has magnetic and the Death Rattle to destroy random enemy. And a 1-mana spell called Biology Project where each player gains 2 mana crystals. And then there's also a like mechanical Jiraxxus hero that you can get if you pre-order the $80 expansion, which I cannot recommend anybody doing that.
I wonder.
Alright, well, victory. Not so victory. Sure, I've seen that coming. Let's see, PC Gamer has an article, how to record a remote podcast without lag. I thought about doing a podcast for a long time, a few years ago when I was big into podcasts. Kind of fortunately, I never had enough people that would also want to do that, and you kind of need at least 2 or 3 other people to do that. So I never got into it, which is great because 4 or 5 years down the line, almost anybody who started a podcast has long since given up, and certainly it didn't lead into any great, hugely deserved financial success. Like, I don't even hear podcasters pushing like a Patreon or anything. Let's see, so since I need to challenge a friend, I'm just gonna try and add crazy people, random people, to the friend list. And let's open this. Like, since we know the release date, and this has actually been the first time ever that they've announced a release date for Hearthstone's next expansion. A couple goldens we can turn into dust. Since we know the actual release date, we can do a lot better planning. Let's see. Let's disenchant that for 100 dust. Disenchant that for 100 dust. Mark those 2 as new. I could sit on any card packs I get for the next couple weeks and have a bigger opening, but I'm gonna open at least 150, probably closer to like 180 packs minimum, maybe as many as 200. Alright, so somebody, this guy, did accept my friend request, so I can hop into a mage game and play some mage class cards while waiting for him to finish up his game, and hopefully we can line up our times and I can challenge him later. We've got a game on Steam called Muddle Dash. It's a couch competitive game. I've seen way too many of these 4-player competitive games where you're running around, jumping on platforms, doing something.
You asked for it. Oh, it
Like-
is on.
I think in general, 4-player competitive games just don't interest me at all. Even if I did have 3 other people who wanted to play with me. This is a multiplayer only, multiplayer online, no, actually local multiplayer it seems, and it maybe has some modes where it goes co-op. But I've seen like games like Gang Beast are probably a lot better choices than playing Muddle Dash. It's 21% off for $8.69. Wait, no, it's actually 10% off if you don't buy the soundtrack for $5.39. Either way, it seems like it's just another clone of several other games we've seen like that. First game from this developer. So, the game Defiance 2050 has been rebooted and released on Steam, and apparently this developer doesn't exist according to Steam. What they did is they basically took a really old game for the TV series on Sci-Fi Channel called Defiance, which I don't think that there's been a new episode of Defiance for a very long time. I think that TV series is done, whether it's not or whether it was finished properly or not. 12 Monkeys is also on Sci-Fi Channel, apparently they had negotiated a decent contract for the 12 Monkeys TV series. So for the past 2 seasons, they've just been shoving out the episodes in 4-episode chunks on the weekend, instead of doing a different episode every Friday or one a week like you normally would do on the channel. Arguably 12 Monkeys is so complicated because of its time travel storyline that you needed large chunks of story just to understand what's going on. But that series is done. They finished it up. It was a good enough ending. It was pretty predictable what was going to happen after in the last couple episodes. Everything that happened in the season before the wrap-ups started happening was kind of just a pointless side venture, but they did manage to tie it in. Whereas Defiance 2050 is now this game that they're trying to sell again, and so it is right now mostly negative at 35% of 382 users. Came out July 10th, 2018, or at least that's what they'd have you believe, but it kinda isn't the case. Let's see if we can get a review that explains this better. It's a free-to-play game that they haven't put any effort into it. Let's see. It might have been that it was in early access before. Let's see. One not recommended review saying the servers are down for way too long. Here's one. I played Defiance Defiance Hard back in 2013. It was great fun with it, and of course many issues with the game, such as being greedy and grindy to dead to achieve better echo score, gear score. Yeah, this guy's not enunciating correctly in his writing. Skip the rest of that paragraph. However, I do not recommend this game. First, as many others said, it is exactly the same game with all the DLC included free as the Defiance.
Amazing.
They tried to bring back the Defiance alive by improving. So they're calling the game now Defiance Alive, and the old game is Defiance Dead. Interesting way to go about that.
Tadingo!
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
By improving the graphics and letting it be a first-person free-to-play, but ends up being a pay-to-win.
Reality woven.
And is one that's more succinct. Well, it's Defiance, but with different HUD and more things locked behind a paywall. 500 hours gone to waste. And so, I don't know if they transitioned everybody who owned the old Defiance game into owning this free-to-play new one, or I guess maybe since it's free-to-play you could just play it for a second and then review it negatively without actually having to spend any money. So I imagine a lot of people doing that. Yeah, Defiance 2050, probably the worst release of 2018 so far. A bad idea from the beginning. Like, clearly this is Tryon Worlds, the developer and publisher, trying to get some more money out of a license that's not even really that worth that much. So yeah, let's move on. Let's see, we have a game called Shred 2 Freeride Mountain Biking. It looks like Trials. It doesn't look bad though, so is there enough room in the universe for two mountain biking Trials-esque games? And so early access, $9.99, and
I wonder.
that's all I can really say about it. It looks like it has like a star system, but I imagine Trials did too. It looks like the graphics aren't amazingly great, but Trials wasn't that good either. I guess I'll keep an eye on this game, since Shred 1 is mixed in reviews and $2.99. So from that information, maybe I wouldn't bother to do Shred 2. Yeah, I don't think I really have a policy in place for, well, the other game was mixed. I probably don't want to play that. So I would have to play a sequel in the series. I'm not willing to play the original two. I think inherently, since I'm only describing Shred 2 as a Trials,
Are you afraid?
a Trials clone, then I have to.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Let's go to this one. Yeah, since I'm just defining it by some other game, I think I'd prefer to just play Trials. And I haven't played Trials, and I don't think I even own Trials, so that why buy Shred 2 first? That doesn't make sense. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. The Cold War strategy game Phantom Doctrine launches August 14th. It has a Steam page. Let's watch the trailer first before we go over to the Steam page.
Job done.
This is just a cinematic trailer, isn't it? Alright, skipped ahead in the trailer. I'm seeing a little bit of gameplay for Phantom Doctrine. For the most part, it seems like you're at a medium zoomed out top-down isometric perspective. So while this trailer is showing me a lot of cutscenes and elements like that, its actual experience would be a lot different in the gameplay elements. So let's go check out its Steam page and see its developers and see if there's something here that would convince me to play this game. It's from the developers that made Hard West and the Paradox Interactive Collection, and that's about it. So, Hard West Complete Edition. A strategy turn-based RPG. Looks kind of like XCOM. I didn't even realize it was a turn-based RPG. I don't know why I'd want to play a game that wasn't XCOM, other than the fact that I might have a slight fear of XCOM just being too long. Right, and since that person that friended me before is now no longer on, we'll send that friend request and see if that works. We'll take a short break. I'll keep an eye on Phantom Doctrine. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Hard West, the other game that they made. It's rated mostly positive, and it's a Western strategy turn-based RPG. So it's basically the same game, except for one's in the Western and one and the other's in a like modern time place. Arguably though, maybe if you made two games and they were shorter, you wouldn't scare me as much as XCOM. And see, there's even references here saying it is more than a XCOM like. Alright, well, nobody's friending me. Let's get back into the game. Let's see, 27 hours. 29 hours, 29 hours, 26 hours. I'll keep an eye on both of them, you know. Maybe I'd play one and not the other. Maybe I'd play Hard West and then go, yeah, that's not really the type of game for me, because I'm not 100% sure I really would want to play an XCOM like game. And in this previous argument, if I'm describing something as an XCOM like game, I'm gonna have to say, well, how many hours would I have to play some XCOM game? And how much fun would I get out of that? Moving on, we've got a game on on Steam called Hell Maze. It looks like it's a Super Meat Boy clone, with a slight difference in the fact that you look like you're a teddy bear that's leaving a string behind you wherever you ran, which is something that Super Meat Boy only does at the end.
What to do?
So
Runs out on me.
the question, I imagine, will come down to, is he losing a length of string and he can only go so far, like Unraveled, because that was part of the whole puzzle there, or is this just an indicator of where you were before? I'm seeing a little dotted line in the background. It seems like you're trying to maybe follow the dotted line with the string. Yeah, it seems like just a simple game, kind of low effort game. Again, maybe not an asset flip per se. Let's see, 10 selectable characters, more than 30 traps and obstacles, more than 20 different mobs. It has only 20 levels, this game does. That's way too few. for $4.99. So Hell Maze as one word is not one that I would recommend. Let's see. I can play this. And we can play that. PC Gamer has an article, GTA Online gets Smuggler's Run related bonuses, free $100,000 for guest listers. So anybody playing GTA Online will probably be happy to hear that, whatever that means. Gamatsu has a article, the Tokyo Chronos Kickstarter campaign launched. Last thing I want to do is hear about Japanese companies starting to do Kickstarters, but I think that's exactly what we're going to hear. I think this launched like a week ago too, or maybe it was talked about a week ago, because I'm pretty sure covered this story. Yeah, if Japanese companies get down to the point where they're just begging on Patreon and Kickstarters, that's a problem. They already rip off their audience too much. This really has nothing even to say about the quality of Tokyo Chronos, which probably isn't much of a game, but it might be a great game. It's just I don't want it to succeed in principle. Like I didn't want kickstarting games to succeed for the Western games either, or any games. And for the most part, they haven't, and I'm kind of glad for it. The people didn't get tied up into that. We have a game called Tintlan, T-N-T-L-A-N. It looks like it's some kind of Mayan. Yeah, you step in the shoes of a Maya emperor, and so it's a real-time strategy game where you're playing as a Mayan emperor, which is interesting. Certainly it gives you possibility of maybe there being some fantasy and magic in it. It's a free-to-play city builder. At the very least, you're not building a very generic Western city. Of course, the first two reviews I have are not recommended.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Yep, it looks like this is maybe an online free-to-play game though, where it's multiplayer, so it's more like a Clash of Clans type idea, where you're gonna have to pay microtransactions to compete, or you're gonna get invaded. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article, what I think, W-O-T, I think, of the free ones. I don't know what the free ones is. I don't think that it's out yet. So it seems like it's a platforming, jump up in the air, swing type game.
Push forward.
Let's see, the free ones is out July 12th.
Truth is my shield.
So what was that article really telling me? The last sentence before they talk about it is, it's often a lot of fun to grapple and leap about in, but it's also too quickly spoiled by something else. So it's not even very well reviewed.
What to do?
But I will wishlist this game and keep an eye on it, because I really don't trust Rock Paper Shotgun more than anything else. It looks like it's a visually appealing game from the developers of a short survival horror game called Far Sky that I haven't heard of. Guess we could look and see what the reviews on Far Sky are. Let's see. This. And this. And that. Yeah, Far Sky has like mixed reviews in the last 30 days, but mostly positive reviews overall. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on both their games. I guess Rock Paper Shotgun did do me a solid there by introducing me to a couple of new games to potentially play. Next game we have on Steam is called Dig or Die. It looks like a Terraria-esque shooter tower defense game. Yeah, it's Terraria but with tower defenses, it seems. Where things will attack you and you have to place down defense things. I don't like the look of Terraria. I don't like that small 8-bit pixely look. So Dig or Die is 10% off for $10.79. That seems way too expensive for what it is, and it doesn't seem like this game is really doing much otherwise. So even though Dig or Die is rated very positive overall, the visual look makes me not want to play it. It's 91% positive of 2,453 people, and I think the visual look probably scares away a lot of people like me who wouldn't enjoy it. And so there might be a very good argument to having your game look a certain way, just to inform the player that this is one of those games. Next game we have on Steam is called Alter Cosmos. Looks like it's a comic book-esque looking game with platforming and puzzles. Maybe it's a point-and-click adventure, actually, instead of a like platformer or a brawler. No, I think it's probably closer to a brawler than a point-and-click adventure. It does have a unique artistic style. I've never really been able to figure out if there is something you can call a Western art style, but it's definitely not an Eastern art style, and it's unique and it's good looking, which is saying quite a lot compared to most of the games I see. So yeah, this is a indie casual violent adventure comic book, and it's 15% off for $5.09. Has only Steam achievements. They're saying it's a point-and-click adventure. Interesting. Alright, well, I'm a sucker for a point-and-click adventure, and it's one that looks different. Certainly is something that would interest me. The other game that they're working on is called Occupy Mars, the game. More and more I feel like companies are making very simplistic games, like match 3 games, to build up their reputation before they release the actual game that they planned on releasing. So Alter Cosmos, I'll keep an eye on that one. There's a Portal 2 mod called Destroyed Aperture that adds 20 maps and 30 puzzles. It's due to come out in the fall of 2018. A long-term work in progress community project eyes launch later this year. I imagine there's a couple of Portal 2 community mods out there. inherently, if it's not adding some canonical storyline, I'm not sure how much of that I care about or really want to play. But I imagine there is a little bit of interest there. Like, it looks pretty because it's using the Portal 2 assets, just moving things around. It looks like it would be more puzzles to play. Portal 2 was already a particularly long game, and I don't think I did all the challenges or elements in Portal 2 or Portal 1 to get all the achievements. So it'd be kind of hard to justify me particularly wanting to play a mod for. I love Portal 2, it's probably my favorite game. I think I've probably said that it's my favorite game in the past, but I'm not sure going with a mod is what I would want to do.
Job done.
That being said, I guess I could wishlist it and follow it. Meanwhile, The Culling 2 snuck out on July 10th, and it is right now at not mostly negative, but very negative, with 13% of 146 users rating it positive. It seems like The Culling 2 may be rather buggy. It seems like The Culling 1 was a PUBG before PUBG, and so they feel like maybe it's just didn't add anything, or it took things out even to, I'm speculating, to make, alright, spectating in battle mode. Alright, here's what I want this guy. I want this guy to stop spectating so I can firmly challenge him. That's what I want to have happen. Let's see. We have a not recommended review of The Culling 2 that says this game is beyond disappointing, not even as a failed successor to The Culling 1, but as a video game on its own. Graphics are worse than a mobile game. Characters, models, assets all look borrowed. Animations are terrible. When you bandage, you're holding invisible roll of bandages, and there's no quick keys for using bandages, stems, and no way to customize keyboards. Guns are hilariously unrealistic. There's also no swimming or ladder climbing animations. Instead, you just awkwardly hop up boxes to get to the top of a certain structures, just to walk on top of the bodies of water. Come on, quit spectating. If you expected a sequel to Culling 1, this is not it. So yeah, The Culling snuck out. I think The Culling also is coming to Switch. How much do they want for this? Let's just mention the price. $19.99, full price. I was never going to play a PUBG game anyways. I guess I don't have time to sit here and try and wait for somebody. I just need to move over to the Americas account. This could be 4 or 5 minutes. I'll just have to do the Challenge a Friend quest off screen. I usually have to do that anyways, unless somebody wants to tell me on the chat that they have a European account and they're willing to hop on and play me for 80 gold. But in the meantime, let's do the Americas account. Next game we have on Steam is called Rogue Breaker. It's just an Arkanoid clone Brick Breaker game. 10% off for $3.59, and I think that's all I really need to say about it. Nothing's going to really sell me on buying a Arkanoid clone. Let's see. Win a game with Hunter and Mage, play 6 elementals. Probably be a little bit harder to play elementals, so let's do odd cost cards. That'll take us a while. So we could get probably both of these done if I just play as a hunter in this deck. There we go. Gamatsu has an article. The competitive party game Slamland has been announced for the PS4, Switch, and PC. It's another one of these 4-player jump around platforms, attack each other games that I've already seen one of these today. Slamland has a flat 2D animation style to it, and it looks like what they're trying to go for here is something sort of like Smash Brothers. So instead of smash, it's slam, and then from there they changed it from brothers to land because slam and land makes sense. It doesn't look like there's a lot of characters, and it looks like all the characters and animations are wild and crazy. So I imagine Slamland will come and go. It's due out August 7th without anybody even noticing or caring. There's already a game that's attempting to be Smash Brothers on PC, and there's already a few of them, and it's much more likely that those would succeed. Here's an old card I used to play all the time. Like, all the freaking time. This would drive people crazy playing 2 of these and just slowing down the speed of games. Particularly if you just sit and don't play anything else. We got a game on Steam called Echoes of the Fae, The Last Sacrament. Fae being Old English for fairies. And so this is... I was almost wondering if this was a continuation of that Canadian show where where the main girl is a succubus, and she was in this world where Fae existed, but most people didn't know that they existed. Let's see, play this. Play that. But I don't think that's what this is. Instead, this is... It looks like... Yeah, it's a adventure visual novel romance with Western animation. It's not great. Not the worst I've ever seen. It's getting close to being more worse than good. But it also looks like there might be a little bit more of a game in this than you want it, than just a visual novel. Seems like it says it has a codex and quests and inventory. That's more than you see in most visual novels, almost all visual novels. I guess the question is, do you want to play a visual novel where the fairies look like anime girls, or do you want to play a visual novel where the fairies look like marker drawings that have a little bit of shading and a little bit of style and texture, but aren't quite as detailed as I would like? A little bit of shading. See, this game is 10% off for $12.59. It has 21 Steam achievements, which isn't too many. Well, I guess for my case it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to play a visual novel anyways. The developer, however, of this game has several other games that are all, if they're rated positively. So that there actually is something here. There's a Echoes of the Fae Episode 1, The Immolation. And then there's a Echoes of the Fae, The Fox's Trail. So seems like there's a the Last Sacrament will be the 3rd game in a series. There's a game called Miracle Divine Dating Simulator. Seems like what they're doing is they're taking ideas directly from a Japanese visual novel and just reanimating it, which that wouldn't be a terrible way to localize some of the Western some of the Western visual novels, some of the Eastern visual novels, is just say let's get rid of all the anime aesthetic because we don't want to sell the game like that, and let's reanimate it. But that would be a lot of money that you wouldn't recoup. Anyways, I closed that tab. But if you're into that, maybe it would be one to check out. Next we have Gematsu has an article. Override: Mech City Brawl has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So giant mechs fighting against each other. It's coming out December 4th for $29.99 digital only standard edition, or $39.99 for physical and digital supercharged mega edition. Let's see, it seems like it may not have online co-op, and let's see, challenge other players in local, online versus, or co-op mods, and experience Override story in a single player campaign. So it's got a little bit of everything. I imagine this game is not going to be super long. Let's see. Summon an animal companion or two if your deck has no minions. This seems like a new card. I'll call it doing something like that before. While Override looks interesting, there's too many games like this already where you're just in this open world and you're fighting, and then there's probably not enough mechs to make this the proper fighting game it should be. Like, that's really where a game like this should probably go, is it should have 30 selectable mechs, so that there's a Street Fighter-esque gameplay to it, with like energy bars and life bars and all of that, and combos. Whereas this game only has 12 mechs, which seems a little too small. And because it's a mech-based game, it's gonna only really sell in the East. It's not really gonna be popular in the West. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Indie Pogo, which looks like it is a complete rip-off of Shovel Knight and several other game characters that they've just stolen. And then they're mentioning Shovel Knight is in this game, so I don't know. Maybe they actually got the license for Bit Trip Runners and Shovel Knights and Rivals of Ether. It seems like there's a whole collection here of indie games characters that are fighting each other, kind of like a Smash Bros, but they're all like 8-bit characters. So it seems like it's not a very good experience visually or in a control wise. There we go. So yeah, we've already seen one Smash Brothers clone. Here's another one. Indie Pogo is $14.99, and questionable. It's the only game from this developer. It's questionable whether they have the rights to any of these characters, because this is like, I'm seeing Devolver Digital characters or things that were published by Devolver Digital. So why is this being self-published by a studio that I've never heard of? Like, I really question whether this is just stolen assets. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. Moving on.
face Jaraxxus, Eldar Lord of the Burning Legion! Job done.
Let's move on. We got a game called Space of Darkness. It's a free-to-play mixed reviewed game that came out July 15th, 2017, a year ago. So why am I saying it now? I wonder.
Must consider.
Maybe it just came out in early access. It's an asset flip. That's all it is. It's one of these horror asset flips. Free to play and still at 50% reviews. This will be the last game we played in this recording. We've got an early access game called Wayblock on Steam. It's, let's see, it's a puzzle game where you're in this block that is directed so it always goes forward and it has to bounce on something else to not go forward. Let's see, 6-6 Inferno. And
How shall I destroy you?
this. Do this.
You might feel a little
This.
tingle. Dark One snuffs all!
So you do this, and we do this.
Job's done.
I could have done that and then used that on that. That might have saved me. Wayblock looks like it's kind of a simplistic puzzle game. I don't know if there's really any strategy in it, or if it's one of these games where you just set up the strategy at the beginning and then watch it go. Let's see, it's an early access game for 99 cents. I just don't think there's enough here to make it worth anyone's time. Alright. So we didn't get a hunter or mage victory. I'm not sure I was even playing as a hunter or mage. And we played 5 of 40 odd cost cards. That's the one we'd really want to play, but without building a special deck, that's going to be rather difficult. And that's kind of all we need to do. Almost 60,000, 6,000 gold. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. And if you want to support me, friend me on Steam, gift me a game. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.